I'd like to show you some features in Infopath 2010. So let's get started. This particular form was developed for a client for their HR department. It's an occupational health and safety form. I always think it's a good idea to have a splash page when you enter a form, and nothing too complicated. It might have a little bit of information. This one shows who you're logged in as, and just a button to get started. Let's choose that. I like to keep my forms very simple on the screen, and I only expose the information that a user needs at that moment as they go through the form. So from this screen you have just two options, and there are no navigational tools on this screen, and you can't see it, but there's no navigation in the ribbon either. I've locked all of that down, forcing people to just methodically go through and fill out all the information that is needed to put a report together. So let's choose the first option, start a new incident report, and then you see I get the option of going to the next screen. But depending on what I choose here, the next screen will change. So from this next screen, I'm just going, I have only two choices again, very simple. I'm either an employee of the company or I'm a contractor. If I choose contractor, I just simply go next, because there is no detail on the database for me to add to the form. And then I'll have to go in and add all that detail. If I choose employee, I get the option of filtering the details out from the database that's connected to the SharePoint site. So this particular list, it's selected alphabetically because it's a list of people. So we're going to do it by last name, surname. And then if I choose O, this is a filtered list, I get all the options related to O. If I'd chosen S, for example, this list will change. If I'd chosen H, all the surnames beginning with H and so on. So go back to O, because my name is in that list. Now, the date of birth here is just a default date of birth showing the format that I'd like this detail entered in. And I've also put a screen tip here. It's just popped away, see if I can pull that back up again. But the screen tip shows what format that should be entered in. There it goes, whoops. You must enter your date of birth as in that format. If I enter it in the wrong format, we'll see what happens. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to enter the wrong date, and I'm going to enter the wrong format. So let's see what happens when I press enter. Oh, sorry, tab. You have to tab through these fields. So you can see that it has highlighted in red, and we're going to get an error message on the formatting. But it also tells me that an employee with that last name and that date of birth is not currently in the database, and it tells me what to do in those circumstances. Here's the error message showing that I'm in the wrong format altogether. So rather than continuing on with that, I might just check this box to say that I'm not in the list and continue on. Right, I get to the next screen, and so on and so forth. So we're just navigating through nice and slowly, picking up the relevant information as we go through. I'm going to say that if I said I was the affected person, nothing changes, but if I say I'm not, if I'm another person, for example, if I'm helping someone to fill this form out, I would enter my name, and from the drop-down list I might be a manager, a supervisor, or I might be something else altogether. So this is called a combo list, and it allows you to have some items that might be in the database, such as manager, supervisor. It also allows you to type in something new altogether. And you can see from the list that dropped down just then, let me show you that slowly, that this will pick up. It has been switched on, this form, to allow me to automatically select from previously entered items. Or I can type it straight in. So, now these radio buttons here will expose different parts of the form depending on what you choose, and that's very useful. It just helps people firstly step through the form methodically, as I mentioned, but also to filter out any unwanted information. So if this is an injury to a person or persons, I'm going to get the option of filling out a first aid form, a medical expenses only claim, or a lost time injury. If, however, this particular incident involved damage to a motor vehicle or some equipment, I would choose the damage to motor vehicle or equipment, and I would get different options based on that choice. So I'm only getting what I need to see. If it was neither, it might be a totally different type of incident, a near miss or an incident report, or I might not even be sure. If it was both, I'll get both options which appeared previously. So let's just choose to keep this very simple, neither injury but a near miss. Now, at this point, we just pop a little bit of information on the screen to help people understand what a near miss event is, because it might be an incident report that is actually required of them. So we just give a little information based on their selection here, and then they have the option of proceeding through the form. This form simply collects their details. Let me just go back for a moment. I can't go back all the way, but depending on my selection in the previous screens, I might, if I'd chosen, for example, we can't actually go back there, but if we had chosen somebody that was in the database, this would all be pre-populated with that information. So I hope you've seen some new things in Infopath that would be useful for you in your forms. Things such as drop-down lists, things such as date selectors, text boxes. These are all very standard in Infopath. The ability to attach photographs to a form, to click and insert a picture, and using your radio buttons to help the user navigate through the form easily. Finally, once you have all the information that's required, you're going to ask them to submit that, and in our case this one submits to a SharePoint site, where it then goes into a management process and a workflow. So if you'd like more information on Infopath forms, please feel free to contact me, Kathryn Ogawa, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. I'm just going to stop the video now.